Hello and welcome to the Brick News, the weekly show on all things brick building, where we talk about set updates and announcements from all the major brands, mocks of the week, and a few reading recommendations as well. Information is presented as always by ZHEGAO.org, the best source for set information on the internet, and we are really closing in on 21,000 sets. We are still at 63 different brands. However, this has most and foremost to do with a slightly different brand separation strategy in the database. We will actually talk about that at the end of this podcast a little bit. However, for now we are moving in. As always, we go through the brands where we have updates in alphabetical order, and the first one is BlueBrixx, the brand over here from Germany. And here we do have available now the three basically geology sets, if you will. We have the Amethyst, the 107050, now available over here in Europe for 25 euros. I think they are shipping across the pond, so for North America this may be an option as well. However, I do not know what the prices will be for you, but over here in Europe that's 25 euros for 590 pieces. This set is actually out of the series, by far the largest one, 4.2 cents a piece, and the second one, the Aquamarine, the 107052, is only 230 pieces. And it's $12 actually, 5.2 cents a piece. And now also available the Rosit. I don't even know how to pronounce this in German. So for sure, I still don't know how this is done in English. The 107051. 282 pieces, $15, 5.3 cents a piece. I did talk about these sets a couple of weeks ago. I was actually told by a BlueBrixx fan today, actually, that these things have been an announcement for almost a year, but for whatever reason, I did oversee them. This is why they came to the set to be so late just a couple of weeks ago. Anyhow, now they are available. And here we go. And then BlueBrixx has announced another locomotive behemoth, the V200. So that's, I think, a German locomotive, 108626. So this is one of these other colossal sets with 8,782 pieces. We're talking about a locomotive that is roughly a meter in length. That's roughly 41 inches. So this thing is gigantic, 27 centimeters in height and 15.7 in width. This is respectively 6 by 10.5 inches. So this thing is gigantic, enormous, but also, of course, with so many pieces and that scale, it has actually a ton of detail. You can open it up on the sides, take a look at the diesel engine. I guess that's a diesel engine, right? Yeah, pretty sure it is a diesel engine. And also, basically, yeah, you can basically check this out. There's so much detail in there, and I think it also looks quite realistic. The color scheme is the one that I do remember from my childhood, so it's a mix of dark red and dark bluish gray, I guess, and in the lower half it's basically black. So this is what you can do if you have basically an unlimited budget when it comes to piece count. Actually, if you go to the Brixx line, let's check out pieces. So now they have, actually none of these is available. That's not true. The V100 is already available. This one has only 5,500 pieces, but the BR01, but also the U-boat with 7,800 pieces. Now the V200, however, the largest one is still going to be the Swiss Crocodile, the 107828. So I think BlueBrixx is quite serious about these sets. The locomotive shed actually is a very old set from the very early day of BlueBrixx, but these newer sets are actually quite interesting. And as you can see, we have an average rating in set to be of 8.4 for the V100. So I think that's a relatively good number. So I can expect, or you can expect, that the V200 is also going to be a nice set. But who knows? I mean, let's see. I think it has been done by the same designer. By the way, BlueBrixx claims that this is a 1/18 scale. FYI, if you have built actually a set that is in the database, and like I said, I'm pretty sure every set that you can imagine is in the database, so you can actually do two things. First, you can use the setDB feature of having a profile, and within that you can basically manage your own collection or your own set lists, if you will. I'm actually using this to mark all the stuff that I have in my Clone Army, which is kind of my small private collection and all my review lists, but you can use this for whatever you want. And as I've talked about before, you can even then make this set list public and or in fact make your entire collection public. So you can use this feature, for instance, if you have kind of a wish list for folks looking for a nice Christmas present. In this case, I guess a list makes sense, or your entire collection you could, for instance, use simply to maintain your collection and basically publish it, use it in a signature, in a forum, stuff like that. And I think the great benefit compared to many other databases that we not only have Lego, but also all the other brands. So no matter if you are only a Lego collector or you collect Lego and Mega or Mega and Cobi, stuff like that, or Chinese brands, we have them all here, so you can maintain your own collection. Anyhow, long story short, what you can do if you have sets in your own collection, you can basically use these slightly messed up columns. So that's interesting. I don't know what has happened here. Let's do a refresh. Okay, that's actually a bug that I need to fix. I will actually do this. Anyhow, I guess you get the point here, right? You can use this rating feature to give a pretty quick and fast rating. Or if you're in the set, for instance, you can just press this purple button here on top, and then you can give basically your rating. Or I think there's also even somewhere over here is a rating button. So there is a ton of option. And as soon as we have 5 ratings together for a single set, we will actually publish this on the site. So you're helping out the community and me, of course. Anyhow, let's move on. By the way, if you're wondering where is the rating button now, this is like a small protection. This is only for sets that you have actually built. So usually this feature is only activated when the set has become available, not for announcements. Anyhow, moving on to BlueBrixx double-decker trains. Here we have the 108625 cars. This is a 2-in-1 set. So this is basically a German train set. It's an 8-stud train. And I think the 2-in-1 function is, I guess, only this yellow line. I guess this is what I would interpret out of the pictures. This is first class and second class seating over here in Germany. And the first class seating is marked on the car with this yellow line. So I don't know, because we don't have any more details here on the design, if there is actually a difference on the seating itself, as it should be, but I do not know. It may be that it's only these 5 or 6 pieces. Anyhow, overall, the set will have 1,190 pieces, and these things will be, like I said, it's an 8-stud design, as far as I can tell based on the pictures, and that means it's roughly 50 centimeters in length, 11 in height. That's 4 inches or 19 inches respectively. And then we have the rail car in front, basically, the front wagon, whatever you may call it, the 108624. Of course, it goes together. You still need a locomotive, but I think there's a lot in the BlueBrixx range. 1,264 pieces for this one, and similar lengths and similar size. But again, only announcement. And as always with BlueBrixx, we do not have, of course, a price point yet. However, we do have a price point because it is available out of the Governor Island line from BlueBrixx, or the Pirates line from BlueBrixx. It's the Admiralty Frigate 107823. Obviously, this is not a frigate. It has only 2 masts and by far is not large enough. Also, does not have enough cannons. Actually, only 5 per side. However, 5 per side is more than anything that Lego managed to do in recent years. I think the Lego pirate ship, the 3-in-1 Creator one, has only 2 per side, and actually in the box are only 2 cannons overall, not 4 as it should be. So BlueBrixx is not making that mistake. So I think it has overall 10 cannons in the package and 5 per side. So that's awesome. Color scheme in white and dark blue, which is very nice. And then there's a lot of pearl gold in there as well. So there was also a pirate version, or let's put it more like a reddish brown, dark red version of this ship in the past. I think it was called the Brigantine, which was actually a much more better fitting name. I did build this one, however, I was not really happy with the piece quality. There was a lot of issues around the masts. The masts are brick built basically, so these are not the standard like mast pieces as Lego used to do them in the past, but actually it's brick built, similar to the Lego Creator 3-in-1 set, and there is Technic axles inside, and there was a ton of issues to get these in there. So there were some precision problems, but I managed to do it. At the end of the day, it did work out. However, I think it was close to impossible to basically take the masts apart. But I mean, this was quite some time ago, so hopefully BlueBrixx has this fixed, but this needs to be seen. And did I mention this thing costs 80 euros over here in Europe? That's 4.3 cents a piece. I think Lego is nowadays at 120 euros, I think was the last price of the pirate ship. I think the pirate ship was raised in pricing maybe 2 years ago. So I would say, yeah, you get a lot of ship for the money. And then we have the Cherry Blossom branch, which is an announcement. And yeah, it's a Cherry Blossom branch. 108,363. Not much to add here, 466 pieces. And now comes an interesting thing, a modular landscape system. So a Mills concept as a set. That's something that mock builders have been doing for quite a while. I'm actually doing the same thing. However, I'm doing it based on a base plate. So base plate, and then you have bricks. Usually I also go on 2 brick heights because this gives me simply more flexibility in case I want to go kind of down below, that I have a little more room to maneuver, to get some to get creative basically with my landscape. But nevertheless, this is already a pretty cool thing. Personally, I would love if like every set manufacturer would migrate on such a system. This makes so much more sense for collectors. But anyhow, BlueBrixx has now these modules in stock. If that means that also BlueBrixx will migrate some of their sets on such a system, means set, I mean buildings. I mean, obviously these are sets as well. I actually do not know, but we have these 4 sets now. So we have the 108485. This is called the small hill, and as you can see, there is a small hill inside, and there's even an inside of the hill, which is quite interesting. And then you have the small meadow pond, 108486, and yes, there is a pond included. There's a little bit of a couple of plants around this, a couple of bushes, etc., which is quite nice. And then you have a blank module basically for your own desire to put, for instance, a building on top. So for instance, you could buy this thing, and even if you get like, I don't know, a modular building from Lego, for instance, or another manufacturer, or even from BlueBrixx, just put this on this one instead of the base plate that is included, and here you go. Or last but not least, you have the meadow, which is, I guess, the most simple ones, just a little bit of grass here, 108484. Anyhow, with that, we're moving on to a pretty exciting announcement for all the architecture fans, I do believe. The Alhambra Castle, which is, I think, in southern Spain. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. I think it's one of the most visited sites in Europe, to my knowledge. So this is history and castle, and as far as you can get, 108079. BlueBrixx has announced that they will make a set out of it, architecture style, 2,700 pieces. It's going to be a BlueBrixx Pro set, so means it comes in a colored box with paper instructions compared to BlueBrixx Specials, which come in a very simple box and have only PDF instructions. And because I actually personally prefer PDF, this is the main reason why I'm pretty sure I'm not going to build it, but it looks quite exciting. I mean, again, as typical fashion for BlueBrixx, pictures are a bit problematic, not very detailed, not a high resolution, but I guess you get the point, right? I'm not sure if I like these dark green base. It looks quite simple. I think BlueBrixx has done better work here in the past, but nevertheless, I think it's an interesting and exciting site to have as a set here if you're into Southern European, especially Spanish, Islamic architecture. I think this is quite interesting. And with that, moving on to the strip club. So if you're in the market for such a thing in your Lego or brick build city, I should rather say, 108514, it's out of the ModBricks line. Usually the ModBricks line is good for such things. It's a bit special. It has 872 pieces, like half a modular building, by means it's 16 by 32 studs. However, it's not on a base plate. It is on regular plates. I guess it's 2 16 by 16 plates. And for whatever reason, it has glasses in the back wall. So it's kind of a cut in the middle building, right? It's not like realistically shaped like a realistic building, right? It feels more like just the front of a building, but for whatever reason they put also glasses or windows in the back, which is a bit weird, because it also means if you put this thing on a shelf and you look into it, you're basically seeing your wall, right? Behind the shelf, which is not that not that good in my point of view. Anyhow, I don't know. I can honestly say I've never been in a strip club, so I don't know how realistic this is, but I don't know. I mean, there is 3 poles. I guess the lower floor is, I guess, the public area. You know, there's all these dollar bills in there, and then you have, I guess, a more private area in the first floor, and then second floor, I guess, is for the staff members to get pretty or whatever they do. Anyhow, with that, we're moving on to a bunch of Christmas tree decorations that have been put by Cobi on their own shop. Actually, I've not yet seen these things in retail, neither over here in Europe or in North America, so I'm not sure if Cobi even intends to make these. I mean, they are pretty small. And yeah, what else gets to say? What else can I say? I mean, I think there are 5 Christmas tree decorations. So we have the ornaments, the 2 or the 20009, or each of them costs over here in Europe $10. And then you have the gingerbread man, the 20013, and then you have the reindeer with a red nose, of course. I assume the slope is pad printed because this is usually how Cobi rolls. 20014. Yeah, and each of them come in their individual box, by the way. They look quite nice. I really like the basically the design of the boxes of the Cobi Christmas sets, but I'm not really in the market for these kind of things to put on my tree. And then you have the snowman, 20012, and then last but not least you have Santa. And again, I assume that these slopes are pad printed, 20011. Each of them, like I said, $10, which means overall, if you want to buy each of them, it's $50. That's, I don't know, that's a lot of money for a little bit of Christmas tree decoration. And I guess in order to make your Christmas tree really exciting, you need even more. However, I think Lego has done some of these in the past as well, so you may already have a collection. So Cobi is in this market now as well. With that, we're moving on to a couple of updates, basically, on the entire Roman series that is around the corner by Cobi. I think for a couple of these sets, Cobi originally mentioned that they expect these for October, at least over here in Europe. Usually it takes a bit more time until they made their way across the pond, but Cobi has now released on their own site both pictures and a little bit more detail on the sets. So in the past I was basically relying on their Instagram posts, but now we have actual high resolution pictures. So if you're interested, I will link, as always, I will link all the sets down below so you can check out these pictures if you're interested as well. So first we have the Gladiator School, where we now have a little bit more information. 20070, 583 pieces, 3 minifigs, and yeah, I mean, it's a Gladiator School. You have 2 gladiators, and then you have the manager of the house. And with that comes also kind of a gladiator battle pack. So you have 3 different gladiators, and the 20066, 38 pieces, and of course, most importantly, 3 gladiators. For whatever reason, I do believe that, I don't know, I mean, it depends. Generally, I really like the minifigures. I think from the print quality and also simply the amount of prints, like arm prints and everything, they are very highly detailed. I really like that. But in general, I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of the proportions. I think compared to the upper torso, the legs look pretty short. I don't know if I like that. But all in all, pretty cool minifigures. And with that comes also a second set, 20067. It's just called the Romans, which is weird. But anyhow, basically it's Roman soldiers or legionnaires. My only issue with this set, I mean, I think the minifigures are really amazing. Pretty cool. The main issue that I see is that you have 2 legionists and 1 centurion, and that basically means that it's not very practical for army building. That's the problem, right? Because I don't know, if you want to have a big Roman army with, like, I don't know, 100 legionnaires, you will also have like 50 centurions, and that's not very realistic. So that's what I really don't like about the set. In fact, I do believe that this was a mistake by Cobi. They would sell a lot more if the Centurion would be in a different set. But anyhow, 38 pieces, 3 minifigs. And now we also have a bit more information on the catapult, the 20068. And here, for instance, you have a Legionnaire in this set. So if they just swapped the Legionnaire here with the Centurion from the other set, then, you know, you would buy 2 catapults, you have 2 Centurions, and then you would buy, I don't know, 10 battle packs. You have 30 Legionnaires and you're good to go. But again, slight mistake here by Cobi. Anyhow, you have the catapult, and as you can see here, this is how Cobi thinks this could look like. You have a ton of these Legionnaires, and as you can see on these pictures, you have roughly 30 Legionnaires and only 2 Centurions, and that is how it should be. Anyhow, the catapult has 173 pieces, 1 minifig, and then of course the Roman warship 20071, and we now also have, thanks to these high resolution pictures and the box, we also know what the minifigures are. You have a Roman senator, a Roman general, and you have even Emperor Marcus Aurelius. Quite important in Roman history. So here we go. This thing is roughly 57 centimeters in length. That's 22 inches or 28 centimeters / 11 inches respectively. It's a 1/48 scale, a ship. That also means it's not up to scale for minifigures. Nevertheless, there's 3 minifigures included, so I don't know, you can just put them on the stand or something like that, or you can put them on the ship, but of course it's not up to scale, but it still works out, right? I think this thing should work very well on the shelf, but also as a playset. And with that, we are moving on to JIESTAR, and here we have availability over in Asia, or I've seen actually for the very first time a couple of plant sets. First we have the chrysanthemum potted plant. Chrysanthemum. I guess it's Latin, so my assumption is I can pronounce it however I want. But anyhow, 9109, the potted plant. It has 353 pieces. I have unfortunately only 1 picture, so the entire basket, or the pot, if you will, is made out of droid arms, which is, I guess, pretty annoying to build. But nevertheless, if this optic is your cup of tea, here you go, 353 pieces. You can buy this over in Asia for around 18 euros or whatever it may be in your own currency, which is actually relatively high priced, especially considering that you have a ton of very light pieces in there, very small pieces like all these droid arms. So I don't know, it looks a bit more on the higher side. And then you have the exploration underwater, the 9048. It has 1,519 pieces and respectively in Asia $63. By the way, whenever I mention these prices from Chinese retailers, usually that is the price including shipping into Central Europe, because that's simply where I am and I had to pick a price, but it depends really on where you live. Anyhow, plus there's customs and this kind of stuff. Again, this really depends on your country, but this is basically the Central European price. With that, let's talk about the set. I think in general I like the idea. However, basically these 2 levels are separated with a bazillion panels. I think these are 1x4x4 panels. Oh no, 1x4x3 is this, right? I think. I do believe. Anyhow, in trans clear or trans light blue, something like that. And the main issue is, first of all, I think this will be a horror to build. I mean, panel-based walls are always a nightmare, and I've never seen so many panels stacked in a set that you can buy. I've seen some mock builders try to do this, but I mean, I think it's possible, but I think it's not going to be a lot of fun to press these together and make this robust without basically the wall exploding while you are building. Maybe you can, you know, build these on the side, like put them on your table and then build them like on the side, and then when the entire wall is done, put it in the set. I don't know if that is feasible, but the other issues, of course, JIESTAR is not really very high quality pieces, and there's usually a ton of micro scratches on these, so I don't know how good the transparent pieces are. I mean, I haven't built it, so they may be great and may be fine, but I don't know. And this is a risk definitely that I would consider. But however, I in general really like the idea. I think if you want to build an underwater world and have the illusion, right, of ships on top, then I think the panel-based construction is not a bad idea. But like I said, I think it's not that easy to pull that off. With that, we're moving on to 2 potted plants again. Pandora 9038. Yeah, I mean, if you're into flowers and a lot of color, this may be for you. 893 pieces, $29. Again, from Chinese retailers in this case. And then Pandora's box, which is of course always exciting to call it flowers in a box like this. 9039. But if you're not so much into Greek mythology, then this may just be a box with plants. Anyhow, 1,196 pieces, 31 bucks. That's actually quite a bargain. I don't know why this one is so much cheaper than the others, but I may be wrong here. And then we have something, and by the way, I mentioned this already in the German version of this show this morning. So far, I haven't got another comment. That it seems to me that Kbox has a license from Pacific Rim, so this is legit. They should be able or allowed to call these sets, actually call them Pacific Rim, because I think they do have a license. These are official sets. But again, if you have other information, please let me know. It's always a big hunt to figure out if folks have an official license or not. So based on my sources, they do have. So this should be legit, like I said, and they have at least 3 of these MOCs. Actually, I don't know if these things are called MOCs in Pacific Rim. I've actually never really seen the movie. I think I saw the first like 50 minutes of the second one, didn't really like it, so I gave up. So anyhow, I've seen now in China at least 3 of these sets. This manufacturer may have made more of these. Basically, it's the 5016 by Kbox, 17 and 18, the Gypsy Avenger, the Striker Orica, and the Crimson Typhoon. And I don't know if these are the names from the movie and even which Pacific Rim movie this is. I guess it's the first one. I need to do a little bit more research on this. So you have these 3 MOCs, like I said, Striker Orica, Gypsy Avenger, or Avenger? Avenger. I think it's Avenger. I will go with Marvel here, with Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I think they're called Avengers. And then you have the Crimson Typhoon, which actually I think looks really, really cool. That's basically about it. That's what I do know. And here we go. And all 3 of them have between, what was that, 2.5 and 2,700 pieces, and all 3 of them costs over in China roughly 100 to 110 bucks basically. With that, we're moving on to Lego, and actually we will talk about a news update here as well. So Lego has a new gift with purchase, the Bakery 40696, which I think started to become a gift with purchase starting today. There's also a poly bag. We have Insider Day, so you get double insider points, and there are also some discounts. Obviously, which sets are on discount may really vary depending on where you live. Actually, over here in Central Europe or Lego EU is not that interesting in my point of view, but basically I think it's Lego's last operation or discount or deal operation before we go into Black Friday. But here you go, the bakery. I think this is the 4th and last of these food stores gift with purchase buildings. With that, we're moving on to 2 Disney Moana sets. I think this is for the second movie that is actually, I think it's gonna come out. I do have this information here actually. End of November, I think, is the release of Moana 2, and so I think these sets will release January 1st. So presumably they are related to the second movie, which because I haven't seen neither the first nor I do intend to buy the second to see the second one. I guess I'm not the target group. Anyhow, we have 2 sets here. Typical Disney style, i.e. with mini dolls, 43270, 529 pieces. I think 3 mini dolls, or is it 4? No, I think it's 3 and a pet. Pet looks like a pig, I guess, a white pig. And yeah, it's a lovely, nice little ship or boat or catamaran, basically, with sails and everything. And yeah, really do like it. It's a nice design. I guess fans of the movie will really like it. And then we have Moana's Island Fun, and that's a 43260, only 175 pieces, 2 mini dolls, actually mini dolls, so like the kids versions, and there are 2 animals in there. There's also a second animal in the sky. So here you go, Moana's Island Fun. These are both, I think, 5+ sets. No, the larger one is 6+, the smaller one is 5+. And then we have something that I guess may not be of so much interest to most of you, because I think they sell these only in Germany, and as you can see, even the set title is German, the Euro Track 1900. So this is like a famous old-timer popular in German tractors. The company Schlüter actually does not exist anymore. So these things have a lot of fans over here because it is a true classic of German tractors after the build that were built after the war. And they sell these sets for with 707 pieces for $60 over here, just as a quick FYI. And then we're moving on to Reobrix SR71 Blackbird 33041. So I think this may be for you. I mean, as we all know, I did report on these. Cobi is also coming out with a Blackbird right now, basically around this time frame. So however, Cobi sets are Cobi sets. They're very different. Very often it's not even possible to see anymore that these are brick builds. So if you're more into, let's get a lot of pieces in there, and let's make sure that this actually looks like a brick build set, then this Reobrix design may be for you. It has 1,775 pieces, and you can buy this over in Asia for roughly, or starting from $70. Just keep in mind, Reobrix is JIESTAR pieces. I said this before, in my experience, a ton of micro scratches. So this thing is entirely black. So this may be an issue depending on how problematic micro scratches are for you. And the second thing is what you usually can't see on the very well done Reobrix renderer pictures is, are we talking about stickers here or pad printed? Considering that many of these things, basically all of them, go across piece borders, I'm pretty sure it's stickers. So just keep that in mind. So this thing looks really beautiful here on the box art, but in reality it may not. So maybe watch out if somebody's going to review this one, and then maybe based on that make your decision, because that is usually the big difference. First, Cobi has a lot less micro scratch issues, and Cobi is pad printed usually entirely. And this is, in my experience, at least not with Reobrix the case. This may have changed in recent weeks, but at least I built a set from them like a month ago, or maybe 6 weeks ago, and it was still a relatively new set, a train actually. And the issue was still there, like a ton of micro scratches, and including on all the panels. This is why I mentioned it before with JIESTAR pieces, and everything was stickers. And was like 1 million stickers, which again may not be a problem for you, but just keep this in mind. Anyhow, Reobrix also going to make a U-boat 33050. So this is again a gigantic behemoth, 1.40 meters in length, or 140 centimeters, or that is roughly 55 inches in length. So this is a gigantic U-boat. From a scale perspective, I guess relatively similar to the Panlos one. Obviously, Panlos usually has much better piece quality, and Panlos is pad printing like crazy compared again to Reobrix. However, I think the great benefit of this U-boat is that it's made, as far as I can tell, based on these not very detailed pictures, that it's like a light bluish gray, dark bluish gray combination. And Panlos, for whatever reason, decided to go for sand blue, which I never really understood. Plus, the Panlos U-boat looks, at least from these pictures, a lot more detailed on the inside. So it is a different approach, but this may be the right one for you, just because of the color scheme, which actually looks quite nice. Keep in mind, like I said before, BlueBrixx is also working on a U-boat with what did I say, like 8,000 pieces, which will be a lot more detailed than this one, but 8,000 pieces, and I don't know what the shipping cost is if you buy from BlueBrixx, for instance, from North America. With that, we're moving on to TGL, actually to TaiGaoLe, and this is what I mentioned before. I'm doing this now more and more. I mean, a lot of these Chinese companies are like creating more brands from basically the same company, and TaiGaoLe, for instance, is a brand that is from TGL. So that's why I've decided, I mean, in the past, usually I gave each like brand its own entry in the ZTB, but this is getting a little bit out of control. So this is why I started this with MunichBricks, which is a sub-brand of BlueBrixx. So you will find MunichBricks sets as part of BlueBrixx. InBricks is part of Panlos. PowerBlock is part of Happy Build. And here, TaiGaoLe is part of TGL. So I will do this more and more because, like I said, this is getting a bit out of control. But anyhow, 624 pieces for the mechanical butterfly, and you can buy this over in Asia for a little bit more than $20. And then they have a mechanical grasshopper. This is the 2101. By the way, the butterfly was 2100, and this one here is again same price, 626 pieces. Then we have the 2099. Actually, this should be the first one. The mechanical mantis, 643 pieces, again slightly below $21. And then we have the mechanical grasshopper. No, I did mention this before, right? We have the mechanical owl as well, which of course is not an insect. It's a lot bigger, but still. So it simply has a different scale because this one has basically a similar piece count, 636 pieces, same price. They call these mechanical sets or the mechanical animal series. So I guess next to the design itself, I assume they will also have a small technic function. I guess these things will move if you turn this wheel or something like that. But yeah, here you go. And then we have from TGL, this should be TGL like the core brand. I think maybe it's also Gaomizi. I don't have a picture with the brand logo here. The vintage typewriter 2112, and yeah, it's a typewriter with 1160 pieces, and it's gonna cost you only $26 over in Asia. So that's a pretty good price point, 2.3 cents a piece, honestly. Maybe my ZTB made a mistake here. Sometimes this whole shipping calculation, no, actually it's basically, it's actually 4 sets. Okay, I need to check this out. Yeah, like I said, the price is not correctly. The typewriter is actually more expensive. So yeah, I think he made a mistake here with calculating the shipping and the price point. So yeah, it's actually wrong by $10. Nevertheless, we have here the typewriter. And with that, we're moving on to ZHEGAO. And here we have a dinosaur lineup, very similar to what we have seen also from other manufacturers. Like, for instance, Area X/Zembo is doing this kind of stuff for SpongeBob SquarePants. Like, you have these acrylic boxes, and in the box, you have like a small set diorama. And here we have first the Dinosaur Museum 971014, 250 pieces, $23. And then you have the Dinosaur Park, which of course has a lot of, I would call it like Jurassic World or Jurassic Park kind of vibe, right? But you have 2 dinosaurs included in the box, plus, like I said, a brick-built diorama, which looks like, I don't know, a little bit like Stargate. If you look here at this blue circle here, I don't know what the Stargate vibe is doing in this one. Is actually in all 3 of them. Not really sure what that is supposed to mean. And then you have the Dinosaur Research Institute, which is actually the inside of a building, and again has a certain, or maybe Portal vibe, right? This could be like Portal or Stargate, or I don't know what this blue circle is supposed to mean. Anyhow, it's called the Dinosaur Virtual Park. It's the name of the series, and like I said, you have dinosaurs in each of them. However, the museum was basically just a skeleton, so this is brick built, while the park and the research institute actually do contain Big Fix / dinosaur pieces. With that, we are done with all the set updates. So let's talk about a couple of reading recommendations. First, for the Deutsche Bahn ticket machine. So it's basically your ticket vending machine. Is this a vending machine or it's just a ticket machine? Anyhow, like they are used over here in Germany. And yeah, basically these things, actually every German or everybody who has ever traveled by train in Germany knows how these look like. And so it's quite authentic, actually. Like I said, MunichBricks, like the name suggests, is a company from Germany. So they know their job. These are GoBricks based, and everything is pad printed, so that is pretty cool. I'm pretty sure a lot of folks that may not be from Germany are quite jealous here that we have this now. I think they ask for $10. Again, this is a German manufacturer. It's not a manufacturer. I think these things are manufactured in China, but it's a German company that gets them, basically puts them together. And yeah, here you go. As you can see, they are both compatible with KittyCraft or Lego minifigures. And then actually, I think I messed up the order. There was also still a set. There was also Wilderness Training. Again, this has even more the, again, ZHEGAO Dinosaur Virtual Park. This was actually the 4th set. Sorry, that was a small mishap. The order was wrong here. So FYI, there's also a 4th dinosaur set. Anyhow, with that, moving on to the next reading recommendation, I did look at what I call the Happy Build Toyota Supra review. However, this is, like I said before, technically a different brand. It's called PowerBlock, but it's by the same company that is making Happy Build. That's why I called them, put them under the Happy Build brand, kind of as a sub-brand. In fact, if you go into ZDB, it says Happy Build. And then I put it on this subcategory called PowerBlock for the time being. So if I have the feeling, because for instance, Happy Build, they have also started this Pangu brand, similar fashion like 2 years ago. And I don't know, they released a couple of sets and after that it became pretty silent. So this is why I don't trust this anymore. And I've decided, okay, this may be just a brand in quotes that they just created for a couple of cars. I think they made 8 of these sets. And so I don't know what's going to happen. But going forward, if I have the feeling with any of these brands that like these have a future and they will live for a longer time frame, then they can still get their own ZDB entry. Anyhow, let's go back to the review. So let's put this straight out here. From my point of view, this is the best 8-stud vehicle car that I have ever had in my hands. By the way, when I say 8-stud vehicle, this is for those Lego enthusiasts of you. This is basically what Lego calls a speed champion. So I've built these from many manufacturers, of course, including Lego. And from my point of view, these are the coolest. First of all, they have an amazing box art. The box look very high quality. Like in this case here, I think this is the only one out of the line that has also an official license. It's a Toyota Supra M Mark V, and the box art, you can even put these boxes vertically, which I think is very innovative, that you can do basically both. Pieces are all from BlueBrixx. They're very high quality, and everything that you see here is pad printed, so there is no stickers in these sets. It's all pad printed. I think no other manufacturer is doing these cars in that kind of quality. The only thing I had to complain about is that these white prints on the trans black window did not really work out. However, they put actually 2 different window pieces in there. One is printed, the other one is not. And one has a spoiler and the other one has not. And this is what I was talking about, like printing white on trans black did not really work out. But again, you have a second window in there as well, which is amazing. And then we come to the entire wheel construction. And yes, this is actually the coolest wheel construction I've ever seen in these cars. I mean, you have chrome in there, you have the brakes in there. And because the brake is connected to the brake saddle is connected to a special piece that is actually an axle, and the axle is fixed on the vehicle. It basically means that the rim is turning around the brakes basically, which of course technically is not 100% authentic, right? Because the brake is not turning, but the saddle is also not turning, which of course is amazing. I mean, this is how it should be. How realistic is that? And the saddle piece, as you can see here, maybe it's very hard to see actually on these pic, even with my macro that this is actually again pad printed. And because, you know, this is not enough, I mean, let's go, let's come on, we put this in 4 different colors. I mean, I don't know. Basically, I think this is a set based on the idea of let's go over the top. You know, money doesn't matter. Let's put everything in there. So again, these are the most amazing and complex wheels I've ever seen on such cars. And then you have also a box included, a plastic box, which looks like a container, of course. It's also, again, everything is pad printed. It has a certain vibe of like airbrush vibe, I guess. I guess it's the best they could do print-wise. But again, everything is printed. So yeah, all in all, I mean, I should mention I'm not the biggest car enthusiast, so how authentic this car is, I do not know. Or I mean, I know, but because I have these pictures here next to it, but it's not like I'm not very I don't need very authentic build here. I mean, for me it looks like the car, but for a true petrolhead it may not. Anyhow, small design complaint is that you can't really put minifigures in there. If you do this, you basically need 1 more millimeter, I guess, in order to be able to close the roof. But next to that, it's kind of minifigure compatible, and I mean, this dude looks very happy with his girlfriend in here. So this is quite beautiful. All in all, by the way, there's 1 sticker in here for this one plaque, basically, that is part of the display. Anyhow, they are not cheap. I think $30, but like I said, it's the most high quality design I've ever seen. Technically, of course, I mean, white is not an easy color for these kind of vehicles, but nevertheless, I think there's a ton of quality in here. Pretty cool. And then Stoneguard from our team has looked at the Panlos Kumamon Private Detective Society. Technically, it's not Panlos, it's MunichBricks. Same story again. But yeah, I mean, if you're interested in that one, it's a pretty cool building. Panlos is usually also going all over the top with, you know, pet prints, but they also usually throw in these MunichBricks sets, especially with kind of the kids line. I mean, for me, this is not a kid set, but I think this is what MunichBricks is supposed to be. At least the sets all feel a little bit more playful. So this thing has more than 40 printed pieces, but or at least printed pieces. I actually don't know if it's pen printed or UV print, but also like 25 stickers, which is a bit annoying. But yeah, here you go. And as a result, this thing is like all over the top. Pretty cool set, if you ask me. Then we have the double insider points as a news update. I've talked about this before, so I think we can skip this for now. I almost forgot. The required points for the Micro Ninjago City series has been reduced, at least over here in LEGO Europe. So again, it may depend on where you live, but maybe that's something to check out if you were thinking about these sets. So this may be the point to order them. With that, we are moving on to MOCs of the week, and here we have the Silent Mary by Mr. Snicker. This is kind of an architecturesque way of looking at shipbuilding. This is what usually this account is doing. So if you look at this, it may look a bit like rough, if you will, not that smooth as many other ship designs look, but look at the scale, look at how big these pieces are. These things are tiny, which is amazing. I mean, there's this thing, I don't even know what, like a bottle ship. I don't know if that is the correct translation, which used to be a hobby like in the past, right? Having these very tiny ships and then throw them into a bottle and open them up to have a diorama. This is almost the kind of vibe that comes across here. And then putting all of these sails and everything, the entire rig basically on the ship is so amazing. And I'm pretty sure my fingers at least are not capable of doing that. But if you're in the market for creating one of these tiny detailed models, he's asking for $4 basically for this design that has 1027 pieces. And then we have my personal private highlight of the week, a Ford LTL 9000 6x6 Leaper Edition by Money91. This can actually be remotely controlled, which is really cool. And I think, yeah, it's a beautiful design of this iconic truck. Looks amazing. Again, I'm not so much into vehicles, so that's why I don't know how good, at least from a truly fan's perspective, the realism is here. But for me, it looks like a beautiful system brick design. I think there's nothing to complain about. Plus, it can be remote controlled, like I said. And then we have by Skyline Lover, another Skyline, Vienna in this case. Obviously, I had to talk about it. I mean, I'm not from Austria, I'm from Germany, and no, that's not the same thing. But it's not far away, actually. I think the Austrian border is maybe like 200 kilometers from here, and I don't know how many miles that are. But this Canadian, I guess it is Canadian, because you're asking for $2 Canadian, 606 pieces for the instructions. I think nothing to complain about. Interesting building selection, but I mean, actually, I think it's quite cool. It looks really beautiful, very well done. And yeah, here we go. Another Skyline, because LEGO is not doing that many of these anymore. I mean, which was the last one? Like Singapore, right? And this was maybe like 3 years ago. So I think, I mean, in general, I do believe that LEGO has lost a little bit interest of into the architecture series. I mean, how many architecture are they doing nowadays per year? Like 1 or 2? Used to be a lot cooler, but yeah, here we go. I'm actually a bit of an architecture fan, but it is the way it is. Anyhow, we're moving on to Pontus Gamer MOCs Red Dead Redemption 2 Valentine Saloon. So this thing has only 7,000 pieces. I mean, in general, people may say, hey, are you joking? 7,000 pieces, you're saying only. However, for this designer, that's actually not much, because this designer has done like designs with, I don't know, 16,000, 18,000 pieces. I think Pontus Gamer MOCs has even the Berlin Cathedral with 71,000 pieces. I kid you not. And I think there are instructions. You can buy for $100 instructions for a set or a design with 71,000 pieces. I kid you not. Anyhow, let's come back to this tiny version of such a design with 7,000 pieces only, $19 US. And yeah, it's Misfields. It looks really cool, very detailed, interesting building techniques in here as well. I've never seen masonry bricks, the backside of the masonry bricks seen used this way, but I think it works very, very well. But of course, with 7,000 pieces, there's a ton of detail on the inside. A little bit like the saloon by Funhole, which had a very similar vibe, I think. And yeah, it looks really, really cool. Big fan. And there's even Brickbuild Saloon sign on the outside, which looks very, very cool. With that, we're moving on to an interesting alternate build of the Millennium Falcon, the Starship Collection version, or MIDI scale Starship version, whatever you may call it. And here we have from the Hullcraft design. So obviously that's from Star Wars Andor. To this day, I don't understand why LEGO made only one set. My guess is they underestimated the Andor success, or how much it, especially like with many hardcore LEGO or Star Wars fans, how much they would love Andor. In my personal point of view, it is actually the best thing that Lucasfilm has ever put out. But there's only one set by LEGO. So if you're into this, I think this is a pretty cool alternate build, and I think you need exactly only the pieces from the original set, 641 pieces. And I think the Hullcraft is such an amazing and iconic ship. It has a very cool scene in the series. So I think it's really great to have this one. Actually, I do have the Millennium Falcon, and I'm seriously considering approaching this or doing this alternate build. With that, we're moving on to a similar or different kind of alternate build, the Castle Bed and Breakfast and Bakery Combination Modular by KT-Bricks, 2,320 pieces, £4.50. So that's, or £4.50, I guess. I'm not really sure how the British call this, but it's not much money, and basically an alternate build of these two friend sets, which I think is also a good example. Well, it's always a good idea. So if your kids are no longer interested into friends before you are throwing these out, or putting them somewhere, or selling them for a very low number, it may actually be a consideration to check out Rebrickable. How are there any good alternate builds? Because in my experience, there's a ton of amazing stuff coming, especially out of the Friends building. So there's a large community here of mock designers, because there's so much gold in these sets. So there may be something for you, and this here is a good example, actually made out of two sets. Looks really cool, and it looks like, something that could go into your city. Pretty cool stuff. Really like the alternate build. I guess I would, in addition to what has been done here, throw in a couple more tiles to tile up, for instance, this section here. There's, in my point of view, there's too many studs in there. Also the stairs, etc. I would tile up, but in general, it's a really cool design. Really like it. Looks very detailed. Pretty cool. And then we're coming to a different kind of alternate build. It's technically not an alternate build because it needs 60 additional pieces, but that's not that much. From Brick Artisan, 1,439 pieces. And yes, this of course is designed to fit into the rest of this winter modular series by Brick Artisan. So, I mean, it's called modular, but technically it's a different size than the normal modulars are, because it's 16 by 32. And not all of these sets are, or these, let's say the original sets are actually from the, what is it called? The winter, no, it's not the winter collection, Christmas. What is this called? Let's just check this out for a second. So, come on. Lego? No, that's wrong. I'm not able to use my own search, and I'm too stupid to type. Here, I can send us post Winter Village Collection. This is what I was talking about. So, Brick Artisan is not always using these Winter Village Collection sets, but there's also other stuff in here. As you can see, this is like Hogsmeade from the Harry Potter line. But in general, if you are in the market and basically you have many of these sets and basically want to create a different form, and you're into these winter sets, so this may be for you. I think actually this is a really beautiful beautiful build. I also like, to a certain degree, the original Lego set, but I think having several of these, actually, I think just one is not that interesting. But if you have more of these, then this may be for you. So maybe check out the Brick Artisan account. With that, we are done for this week. I hope you liked the show. For those of you who watch this on YouTube, please leave a like or comment, or even better, subscribe to the show. Everybody else, depending on where you listen to this or watch this, you know, like, rate, comment, follow, subscribe. I don't know. It's called different on every platform, but the idea is always the same, to say the same, to help me out a little bit. And yeah, with that, thanks for listening. See you next week.